Good day, good people. My name is Kapasekwele and I'm an online math tutor here to help young children turn their struggles into their successes. This video is going to be all about long division. Now, there are quite a few ways to divide numbers, but the one method that every child needs to know is the method of long division. So starting off, what is long division? Long division is a method that is used to divide one number by another number. So what are some words used in long division? The first one is called the dividend. That is the number that is being divided. In fraction terms, you could say it's the numerator. The second word, the divisor. This is the number that you are using to divide. In fraction terms, it is the denominator. The third word, the quotient. That is the answer you get after dividing the dividend by the divisor. Okay, so now that you know all of the important terms, let's go to how this method works. Long division basically divides a number piece by piece. It takes a big number, cuts it up into small sections, and then divides each and every section until all of the sections are finished. This is very similar to eating a cake piece by piece. You start off by taking one whole cake, cutting a slice, and then eating it. Once that slice is over, later on, you come back, you take another slice of the cake and you eat that. Then maybe the next day, you take another slice of the cake and you eat that. This process continues until the cake is finished. So in that same way, when you're dividing a number using this method, you take a section of the number, you divide it, move on to the next section, you divide that, up until the entire number has been divided. So now that you understand the background of long division, let's now move on to the steps in long division. Long division follows a 5-step process. The first step is to divide. Next, you multiply. Thirdly, you subtract. Fourth, one that is not commonly known, you check all of the work that you've done so far. And then lastly, you bring a value down. These steps will make a bit more sense when we're actually looking at an example, but for now, remember the steps. Division, multiplication, subtraction, check, then bring down. Here's something that I want you to understand about long division. When it comes to long division, the last 4 steps of the 5-step process, that is the part where you section out a piece of the number. Similar to that example that we used about the cake. Before you can eat the slice of cake, you need to cut it out first. So the last 4 steps cut out a section of the number. Then the first step divides that exact piece that was cut. So the first step, which is division, is like eating the slice of a cake. Whereas the last 4 steps, multiplication, subtraction, checking, and then bringing down, that's when we section out a slice of the cake. We do that continuously until the entire number has been divided. Or in other words, until the entire cake has been eaten. And you know that your entire number has been divided when you can no longer make any more sections. Let's use an example. The first step, divide. Remember, we are dividing in sections. We're eating this cake piece by piece. Therefore, we are only going to divide the first digit of 52 by 3. We're not going to divide the whole 52. We're just going to take a section of this number. And the first section we're going to divide is the first digit in the dividend, which is 5. So basically, we are going to divide 5 by 3. So now how are we going to divide these numbers? The easiest way to divide 5 by 3 would be to ask yourself, how many times does 3 go into 5? The reason why this question can help us find the correct answer is because division in general can help you to see how many times one number goes into another. For example, 6 divided by 3 is equal to 2. That answer actually tells us that you can find 3 2 times in the number 6. Another example, 15 divided by 3 is equal to 5. That simply means there are 5 3s in the number 15. So division can give you that information. It can tell you how many times one value goes into another. That is why to divide 5 by 3, we are going to ask ourselves this question. How many times does 3 go into 5? The answer to that is 1. You can only find 1 3 in the number 5. Now I know 5 divided by 3 is not equal to 1. There is a remainder there. But remember how I said long division divides in sections? The remainder will eventually be added into the numbers that we divide. So don't worry too much about the remainder that wasn't accounted for in this answer. Focus mainly on asking yourself how many times this number goes into the other. For now, that's all that matters. So back to the sum. 3 goes into 5 once. Therefore, we're going to put that answer on top of the house that we draw whenever we're using long division. Our next step is to multiply. Now again, we are cutting out a piece of the number to divide. Remember, we're cutting 52 up into smaller sections. So we're done with the first section that's been divided properly. Now we're going to move on to the next section. To start that process, we are going to multiply. We're going to write down the value that we just wrote down on top of the house, which is 1, and we're going to multiply it by the divisor, which is 3. We're going to take that answer and we're going to write it underneath the first digit of the dividend. So 1 multiplied by 3 is equal to 3. Now I'm going to write my 3 right underneath my 5. My next step is going to be to subtract. Now we're going to subtract the first digit of the dividend by the value we just wrote down. Simply put, we are going to minus the 5 by the 3. The answer we get is 2. Now our next step is to check. We need to check each and every step that we've done so far. So far we've divided, we've multiplied, and we've subtracted. So you need to go over every step and make sure that you've done it correctly. This ensures that no silly mistakes were made and every step that you've done is correct. Our final step of the process is to bring a value down. Now, which value are you going to bring down? The value you're going to bring down is the next value in the dividend. You need to bring it down right next to the answer you got when you subtract it. So we're bringing this digit down because it forms a part of the new section that we are going to divide. It's a new slice of the cake that we're going to be eating. Now, we said 5 minus 3 is equal to 2, and the value we're going to be bringing down is also 2. That was the next digit in the dividend. So the new section that we're going to divide is 22. Now, remember when we divided 5 by 3, we got 1 as our answer and there was a remainder that we ignored. The remainder has formed a part of this new section. Now that the fifth and final step in this process has been reached, we are going to go back to our first step, which is to divide. To divide 22 by 3, we're going to ask ourselves, how many 3's are there in the number 22? The answer is 7. We're going to write that value right next to the 1. It forms a part of our final answer. Our next step, once again, is to multiply. We're going to do the exact same thing. We're going to multiply the number we just wrote down by the divisor. 7 multiplied by 3 is equal to 21. Then, we're going to take that answer and we're going to write it underneath the 22. Why are we writing it underneath the 22? Because our next step is to subtract. We're going to subtract the 22 by 21. So 22 minus 21 is equal to 1. We're going to write that answer right underneath the values we just subtracted. Our fourth step is to check all of our steps. We're going to check the values we divided. We divided 22 by 3 and we got 7 as our answer. Don't worry about the remainder. We will get to it eventually. The next thing we did was to multiply. We multiplied 7 by 3 and that gave us 21 as our answer, which is correct. We then subtracted 22 by 21 and we found that that is equal to 1, which is correct. Everything that we did is correct, so we can move on to the next step. Our next step is to bring the value down. We always bring down values from the dividend, but in this case there are no more values to bring down. That simply means there are no more sections to divide. That then means the whole number has been divided, which then means that 52 divided by 3 is equal to 17, with 1 as your remainder. Remember when we said that 3 goes into 22 7 times and we wrote 7 without taking into consideration the remainders? Well, now the remainder has formed a part of the answer. So the entire number has been divided and our answer is 17 with a remainder 1. And that is the method of long division. Thank you so much for making it to the end of this video. If you are a parent who is in search of an online math tutor, please go ahead and schedule a free consultation with me. I will see you there. Thanks once more. I'll see you in the next video.